Let's continue to talk for a few moments about managing users, and now we're going to look at configuring user profiles and kind of looking at those profile settings. And what a profile does is manages a user's settings, and a user could have different settings. There could be account settings that we've already looked at, such as which default shell they would use or what their default home directory is. But there's also other profiles that are unique to each user. For example, there could be different settings for the bash shell, and those are located inside the user's home directory normally. Now there's many different ways to change different profile settings. Some are the account settings and some are editing profile files that are stored in the user home directory. Two of the ways that we'll look at to be able to change user profiles are basically the VIPW command, which changes the etc password file, or, which is better to use, the chpass command, which changes user account settings as well. We'll also look at some of the profile files in the user home directory, and you can see how those can be edited to change profile settings as well. We're in our FreeBSD virtual machine, and we're going to take a look at changing some different profile and user account options for users. One of the things we can look at is the VIPW command. If you like, you can just look at the etc password file by doing a cat or a less. Now notice this doesn't change anything, it allows you to look only. And as you can see, there are some fairly complicated options in there. Once you know what the fields look like and what they do, it's not too difficult to go in and change. Now there are some Linux distributions and some Unix variants that allow you to just simply go in and edit this file directly. And that's okay if you know what you're doing, but it's not the ideal way probably. Another way you can edit this file directly and change user settings. For example, let's say that Barbara Smith gets married and her last name changes. You might want to go in and change her full name. Or maybe you want to change her home directory to something different, to something on a different system or a different partition. You could go into this file and do that, but you would not want to change any of the other settings through doing this. A better way to edit the etc password file rather than in a text editor would be to use the VIPW command. And what the VIPW command does actually is opens up a VI editor session so you can properly edit the command. And basically it's the same thing as opening it in VI, but you know, it's a little bit better, a little bit safer than just willy-nilly editing the file or changing it. So you might want to do that. A better way to even do that, to edit this file or edit the user settings that you might want to use, is the change password utility or chpass. And you can do this for any user as root, of course. The user can do it themselves, but they will only get certain settings that they're allowed to change about their user account, such as their telephone number. As root, you can change all settings. So let's type in chpass. We'll change the settings for Barbara. And as you can see, there's a lot of different information we can change there. There's many different things we can change, including the login name. We can change the UID or the group ID. We can add an expiration date. We can change their login class. We can also change things like their shell, their home directory, their full name. Again, let's say that Barbara Smith gets married and changes her name. We can change that right here. We can also add her an office location, such as a room number, an office phone, and so forth. We can also put a little bit of other information in there as we see fit, maybe some notes like hire date and so forth. The point is, the chpass utility is a much better utility to use than simply editing the etc password file. Now, since this is really in a VI console, we can simply use VI commands to get out of there. We don't have to change anything, by the way. The next thing we want to look at is user profile information. Let's take a look where we are now. We are in the /etc. Let's change to the /home directory, and we'll see the different user profiles that are in there. Let's take a look at Billy's profile information. And in Billy's home directory, we're going to see several profile entries. We're going to see shell configuration files, such as the bash configuration files, the bash history, the C shell, login.conf if they have a specific login class, and so forth. Let's take a look at a couple of different things. First of all, let's cat the .login file, and this is some different things that we can set up for the environment if we like. We can also look at the .profile, and there's some other profile environment variables and things of that nature that we can set up. We can set up their default editor, which paging application they'll use. We can export certain variables out. We can set up their environment and so forth. So there's different things we can set up through the profile scripts that are in their home directory, and this is only a small sampling. There's a lot of other things we can set up using some of the profile environments we'll find. A lot of these profile scripts will not even be in there unless we're setting up something else. For example, unless this person has bash as their startup shell. They may not have bash profile settings in here, and so forth. So a lot of these are dependent upon some other things. So when you're setting up profiles for users, a lot of things depend upon other things. It might depend on their groups that they're in, permissions, their login shells, and so forth. So this is just an example of some of the profile settings you'll find in their home directory. And there are other profile settings as well that may be located in other parts of the system. This is just a sample of those. And it was a sampling of how to change user account profile settings as well.